Hello everybody, and today we are going to be talking about the Métis Aboriginal tribe. The term Métis refers to a collective of cultures and ethnic identities that resulted from unions between Aboriginal and European people in what is now Canada. Métis stems from the Latin verb miscēre, to mix. The word initially refers to the children of these relationships, but over generations it came to refer to the distinct cultural identities these communities developed.
To me, Métis is here.
Census revealed that in some parts of eastern Canada, the number of people who self-identified as Métis jumped by over 140%.
In recent years, partially due to the Métis rights case R versus Powley, the word Métis has shifted from referring to a single cultural identity produced by European-Aboriginal intermarriage across different communities to applying to multiple identities that have arisen from the diverse historical instances of the Aboriginal-European heritage. Canada was built on the fur trade, which supplied European demand for pelts from animals such as the beaver to make hats. The Métis were at the heart of the fur trade. They acted as guides, interpreters, clerks, canoemen, fur packers, trade negotiators, and provided provisions to the Hudson Bay Company, Northwest Company, and the European fur traders.
But it's a person of mixed identity.
They look at their family tree and say, oh, we've got some ancestry. Now I'm Métis. Be who you are. Don't be us. And I think that's what we're trying to say.
At the start of the fur trade, the First Nations did most of the trapping. However, the Métis, who were sometimes considered the children of the fur trade, became skilled hunters and trappers as well. The Métis began making a living as trappers by the end of the 1700s. They sold furs to the big three fur trade companies, the Hudson Bay Company, the Northwest Company, and the American Fur Company. Dealing with competing fur trade companies was profitable for the Métis trappers because they could sell their furs to the highest bidder. However, these profits began to diminish in 1821 when the HBC and the NWC merged, operating as a new entity under the retained HBC name. The Hudson Bay Company newfound monopoly on the fur trade meant lower fur prices. Furthermore, in Europe, less expensive silk hats became more popular during the 1830s, causing beaver prices to continue to drop. Prices also dropped for the furs of other animals, and many Métis trappers who had become reliant on the fur trade had to do other things to support their families. Métis women were integral in the fur trade. They were sought after as marriage partners for fur trade managers because of their kinship ties to local First Nation and Métis. Some English Métis women, known as country-born, married high-ranking officials and became members of the Red River aristocracy. French Métis women were likely to marry fur trade laborers such as French-Canadian voyageurs. Their work was vitally important as they provided food such as garden produce, berries, fish, and game to the fur trade post. They also made and sold hand-worked items such as sashes and quilts. Voyageurs were the main labor force of the Montreal-based fur trade system. They paddled large fur trade canoes from Montreal to Fort William, then to what are now northern Alberta and southern Northwest territories, and in the present day Oregon. Few roads made by people existed then, making the rivers the best way to connect the communities. The voyageurs used the river systems to haul furs and goods for trading purposes. From the 1770s until 1821, when the merger happened, most voyageurs were French Canadians from Lower Canada, and to a lesser extent, Iroquois and Algonquins. After the fur trade merger, the majority of boatmen working in the fur trade were Métis. Carrying on the voyager way of life, they paddled transport canoes and York boats in the northern parts of the present-day prairie provinces. They also unloaded freight canoes and York boats. Louis Riel counted on Métis boatmen, particularly the Portage-les-Locs Brigade, as the muscle he needed to support his provisional government during the Red River Resistance in 1869 and 1870. Métis boatmen worked for several months at a time, often enduring a great deal of hardship. In some places, a river would have too many rapids, or it was too narrow for boats to travel upon. Métis boatmen would then carry or portage their boats on their backs until they reached another lake or river. Those who were not carrying boats hauled heavy packs of trade goods on their backs. These bundles often weighed as much as 90 kilograms. This heavy weight was held in place by a strap or tumbling around their heads. They often carried their boats in heavy packs for several kilometers through tangled underbrush, over slippery rocks, and through clouds of black flies. Today, the Métis honor their ancestors by holding Métis Voyageur games at events across Canada. These events test the strength, accuracy, and endurance of the participants. After the 1821 merger of the HBC and NWC, many Métis fur trade workers became free traders, independent hunters, and trappers. The bison hunts took on an increased importance as demand for bison robes and hides grew. The leather was used to make industrial belts, and it became more prominent from the 1840s until the great herds of bison began to disappear in the 1870s. Some of the Métis served as fur trade provisioners and as hunters, providing processed bison meat, or pemmican, to the fur trade workers. Many sons of HBC traders also became fur trade employees, serving in a variety of positions such as clerks, postmen, and factors. These English Métis were less likely to be involved in laboring positions, such as manning York boats, than their French Métis compatriots. Today, Métis in the northern parts of the Prairie Provinces and the Northwest Territories continue to trap. The Métis still today continue to honor the traditions of their fur trade ancestors by holding annual King Trapper events. Well, thank you guys for checking out this video, and if you like this video and videos like this, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, and share the video with your friends. And always remember to get out there and explore. Thanks, guys.